Good now, everybody, and welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show, your place for helpful news, commentary, and answers to your crypto questions. My name is Evan. I'll be joined shortly by my colleague Alex, and we are here to help you navigate this sometimes confusing space, an industry where there is opportunity around every corner, and sometimes it's good and sometimes it's bad, and it's hard to know which is which. So we want to help you find out for yourself without having to expose yourself to unnecessary risks, scams, and schemes, all the cool stuff that's here around those corners, and not end up in the dark alleys of the internet, so to speak. Here comes Alex, and as you're joining, let me confirm we're live every Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time, which is 8 a.m. Eastern, 12 p.m. UTC. Plus, we've got a Discord community where you can jump in. It's totally free to come hang out, ask any question you have, build community with other people, and we would love to see you there. It is at the link in our bios and at the riseupmorningshow.com. Alex, brother, how you doing?
Good, man. How you doing?
Man, I'm good. I'm doing good. Thank you very much. It's hot as hell here, but I'm sure it's the same there.
Right, dude, right now it's gorgeous outside. I just cleaned my pool because I was like, oh, it's not going to get any nicer than this all day. I don't know how hot it is, but it's like, it feels perfect outside.
Did you say cleaned your pool?
Yeah, we have one of those, little like temporary take up, take down above ground, like 15-foot things.
Gotcha. Man, I was tripping because when you said that, I was like, Alex, you have a pool?
I mean, yes, technically. It's great for like, floating in a single floaty with a beverage, or it's, it's just where you cram the kids so they don't bother you.
Yeah, I get that, man. Tell you what, being in a pool in the summertime, it doesn't matter what kind of pool it is. You're glad to be there.
Paid for itself 1,000 times over with the kids all summer, so worth it for sure.
I was about to go so hard with ridiculous examples of baby mammal creatures freezing in the wintertime in like the Northeast. I was about to just like load up a bunch of like weird Maine references of just like how bad winter can be. I was just like, but like what
in
about
your pool?
The thought of the squirrels? And what about the baby moose stuck in the mud who can't suckle its mother's teats and then freezes in the mud? Have you thought about such things? Think of the moose. What about the rock lobsters that like to climb the voodoo trees and get the syrup from the cypress trees? Sorry.
Anyway. I can't say I've ever had a moose or a rock lobster caught in my pool, but
yeah, I did have school canceled once because there was a wild moose on campus that wouldn't leave, and they
that's nice.
Couldn't get it to wander away, so DNR had to let him hang. Well, I think they ended up having to trank and then truck him away because he just wouldn't leave, but.
Had good vibes. There were too many good vibes.
Anyway, gentlemen,
we talk about moose on this channel, guys.
Yep. Welcome to the Rise Up Morning Show, where the only topic is moose.
Moose.
Yes,
that would be pretty great.
And occasionally crypto. What's that? You know. Did you guys? I haven't, honestly. It was kind of a slow weekend. It seemed like. I feel like all the big stuff after last week, we had a lot of econ news. I feel like coming up, we've got a lot of macro news. Like I know Polygon's got their token migration. I have no idea when we're getting Fire Dancer. But I feel like there are a lot of things like that. I think ETH has an upgrade that's incoming. So what's going on this weekend though? Did we do stuff?
Nothing.
Will's just been terrifying everybody with the next coming of the economic apocalypse.
But also, I give a bull case. I go, hey guys, maybe it'll be good. Don't hate me so much, but also.
And that's the show, everyone. Maybe it'll be good, maybe it'll be bad. We'll see you same time,
maybe good,
same place tomorrow morning.
Sometimes maybe shit.
Well, then why don't you give us your bull and your bear case, and we can start to answer some of these questions. The first question I see rolling in is, what's your sense of connection of the stock market versus crypto and the overall economy? And I know that you can touch on that as you answer. And I would invite anybody else who's got a question to drop it in the chat below. I've got a pen and I've got some paper. And if we miss it, we'll circle back to it. We'd love to hear what you think. So what do you think, Will? What's the bull case and the bear case? And what kind of relationship is there between our traditional stock economy and commodities and other assets in crypto?
Well, the light bull case for Bitcoin is the thought that we start to catch up to what stocks did, right? Bitcoin's been a laggard for sure. Gold's gone up, stocks have gone up. So if that happens, you could see Bitcoin go up to, at the very least, $65,000 or $69,000. But in the best case scenario of this, small bull case, heading up to $74,000 and stopping there. If the bull cycle continues, you have a clear shot up to 90,000. At the very least. However, that only happens, I think, if the Fed cuts interest rates really, 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 really aggressively. The bearish scenario would be us heading, and this is like the most bearish scenario, I think. A light bear scenario would be like us heading back down and testing like 52,000, right? But the big bear scenario, which is way bigger than the bull scenario, I feel like, and this is if there's like, recession, right? Or if you want to call it manipulation by the powers that be to keep Bitcoin down, to shake people out, to get the Bitcoin, aka BlackRock, whatever, whatever story floats your boat. That's Bitcoin heading down to like the mid 30, low 30K range. And that's that. And that's if like things in the economy start breaking, recession hits the stock market, and the stock market, starts to collapse. Because where we're at, and Alex, I'll let you go in a second, but where we're at with the correlation between Bitcoin and the stock market is a really, 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 really shitty place for crypto. Because if the stock market goes up, Bitcoin has done nothing. It's gone sideways and slightly down throughout the whole summer, since March. The stock market and Bitcoin have been uncorrelated to one another in a very annoying, painful way. But if the stock market goes down, Bitcoin goes down. And that is the correlation that we have seen throughout the whole summer right now, which is frustrating and annoying. But that's where we're at. And so, if the S&P 500 keeps going up, Bitcoin's going to go kind of sideways, it seems like, but given that. But if the stock market decides to go down, and I could very easily see it going down around the time of rate cuts, then it could bring Bitcoin down with it even harder. So like that's kind of what I'm looking at as like the most likely scenario. And a potential, and this is I don't think this is the most likely scenario. I think this is the second most likely scenario, talking about the Fed cuts on the 18th. Because like, Evan, you're right. Like we don't have a lot of really big like macro data points between now and September 18th. I'm sure there's something that I'm just not thinking of right now.
Sure. But last week was just brutal.
Yeah, last week was just brutal. But like we got good economic data. However, because of the good economic data, you're gonna have to ask yourself, okay, is Jerome Powell gonna cut interest rates? Because one of the things Jerome Powell looks at is he wants to see weakening in the US economy. And right now we're not seeing that. GDP went up, retail sales went up, and unemployment went down, right? Jobless claims went down. And so, there's a chance, and I think it's most likely Jerome Powell comes out and says, hey, we're going to cut interest rates by 25 basis points. But you have to ask yourself, is Jerome Powell going to come out and be like, hey, the economy is still strong. So, the economy can still handle these higher for longer interest rates. And we're still very concerned with inflation. It's at 2.9%. We want it down at 2%. So we're not going to cut right now. And if that happens, fucking, markets are going to slide hard. And so that's something you have to think about. So yeah. That's where I'm at. Also, I don't have a short on the market. I don't short, just FYI.
I think that person, I couldn't tell if they were talking to you about a short bet or if they were talking to me and it was a typo for shirt. Because it would be something somebody would say to me on TikTok that they didn't know if they could take me seriously with a shirt on.
Yeah.
Shirts or shorts? I don't know. Go ahead, Alex.
I mean, so that's that's quite comprehensive. I think though that something that might be worth clarifying, just because it always gets lost in the sauce when we're talking about bull case versus bear case, is the length, the term length here of these different scenarios, right? Like the bear case in this case does not mean that everything is over forever and hey, we all screwed up and it's never coming back. It means it goes down before it comes up. The amount of time is then, up for debate. And right now, I don't know, like in my head, this is why I'm so undecided, because in my head, this is nothing is out of the ordinary for, the year post halving. If things are still on, nothing exciting happens over the summer. In fact, it usually craters over the summer or it just sucks. And this is, I don't know, it's not yet completely for me deviated from the 4-year cycle. So it's really hard to say that it's definitely over. We just have several things that weren't present, like last bull run, for example. We just go back one bull run, for example. Stock market was recovering along with everything else post COVID crash, which was actually, for the record, after the halving anyway. And then you've got the fact that the ETFs came out, gave us a weird, entrance into the market and gave us an all-time high before the halving, all that sort of stuff. Like big things that could have an effect, but we just don't know yet. So I don't know. For me, like nothing for me has changed. I'm mostly in stables except for Bitcoin and some ETH and some SOL. Everything else is, that's been my boring ass portfolio for a long time. And we'll see. I probably won't change the way that I think until like we go through the Christmas season and nothing happens, because then that would be like, okay, here we are officially like a widespread deviation from the 4-year cycle, not just a theoretical deviation.
Yeah, and then
go ahead.
And then one thing with the bull case too, that like you mentioned, the summertime usually sucks. Like crypto market typically doesn't historically heat up until like 160 days or 8 months or so after the halving actually happens. So that's the other part of the bull case here, is that like, oh, this is just kind of normal. This is the quiet time. It's just been quieter for longer because Bitcoin hit an all-time high sooner than it ever did before. So this is all normal. And then once October comes, off to the races. That's what the timeline of the old cycle would be. And maybe it'll play out like that again,
I think there are going to be a number of things that, at least for Bitcoin, will have an impact in terms of new instruments launching. We haven't in this, like what people have called the bull run, we haven't really had an instigating like crypto wide event. If you think about a couple of years ago, past cycles, we had like the DeFi summer explosions. We had the NFT boom. I mean, there were many other things that kind of happened, but they were like pivotal technical shifts where something new and exciting came to pretty much everybody in the space, and everybody went all in on it in terms of the companies who work here. And I don't know that I've really seen anything like that yet. And I'm kind of expecting it might happen in the form of infrastructural upgrades. But I also think it might happen, people thought the ETFs would be it. Another financial instrument that people are messing around with right now is wrapped Bitcoin. We talked a little about it on the show last week, and I can't remember if you were there, Will. Have you caught any of the WBTC drama that people are like, not so sure about the future of wrapped Bitcoin, and Coinbase is trying to move in on that market?
All I've seen is Coinbase trying to move in on the market, and it makes a lot of sense because it'd be a really easy way for them to add a whole bunch of liquidity on the base. Well, and
that's exactly right. And the interesting thing on the other side of it is that right now, WBTC, on chain, we're talking over $100 billion of assets in synthetic, specifically wrapped Bitcoin, that BitGo is having a furious internal argument about like the future of who holds those like funds and where. And it basically is considering delisting WBTC in favor of a different synthetic alternative. So like number one synthetic Bitcoin in the number one synthetic Bitcoin marketplace. And here comes Coinbase like, hey, do you trust us? You know, like it's so perfect timing for them. So I don't know what it'll be, but I think there have been a lot of bullish events. And I think personally what's interesting is this sort of sentiment in consumers. Everybody asks, are we in a recession? Are we in a recession? And even though the data doesn't show that we're yet in what might be, you know, there is a looming recession or there is the possibility of recession according to the numbers, but like, I don't know, everybody feels like we're in a recession. It's been kind of my interesting observation this cycle. Like people are poking things with the stick and waiting for it to do something.
But there's just a very big discrepancy that makes it really hard to have this conversation without pissing somebody off, because we have an ever widening disparity between two sections of the US economy, which make it seem to some like everything is all great, hunky-dory, like we've got a couple good numbers in a few very specific areas that are historically, you know, indicative of a strong economy. And then you have the fact that still, after all of these gajillion years of dealing with this shit, labor is not growing in the way that it should be, in the sense that wages are still stagnant as fuck, and they are not even remotely adjusting for the rising cost of living. And then you have now, I mean, but we're continually having the wrong conversation about it, which just means that people are angry and not willing to see what is actually happening. So the labor market fucking sucks. Like, sure, people are working, but they're working longer hours and harder or more jobs than they've had to before for the same amount of stuff to live in the same place that now costs, you know, X% more, and basic goods cost X% more. And, you know, we can argue all day about all of the different contributing factors to the rising cost of living. It's just sort of generally how it's always worked, that it just consistently gets more expensive. And if you don't pay people more to match that, then you're going to have this feeling of a shitty economy, even though technically it's strong. But it doesn't matter if it's strong if no one's having a good time. But the only people that are having a good time are people who can afford to own things that automatically adjust for inflation, like investment portfolios or real estate investments and holdings, like things that adjust with the cost of living. You own a business that also has scale to charge more for a rising cost of living that sells necessities. You know, people can't make cuts in food and utilities and stuff like that. They make cuts where they can make cuts, which is frivolous investments like cryptocurrency. So the economy is not weak. We just forgot to update all of us to participate in the new kind of, I'm going to say strong in air quotes, economy, where like, yes, there's a bunch of stuff up in the air, but like, you know, markets are good. This looks good, that's good, blah, blah, whatever is all good. But like, hey, they forgot to give us any fucking money, so we can't participate and everything sucks. So it feels like a recession, regardless of whether it is. And we're just in this weird, tumultuous period where most people only know one thing, and that is that what's right in front of them doesn't look great. And we need to figure out why. And since we can't think super deep about it, and it's very easy to hate politicians, just pick the one who's opposite you and hate them for it and call it a day.
Well, don't forget that the measurements that they use to determine whether we're in recession or not are lagging indicators. We're working from old data, so we may well be in recession right now, but the data won't be corroborated until the end of the month. But then that's last month's information, so it's always lagging when it comes to, you know, are we in a recession?
Exactly. Yeah, it's always about 1 month behind, which is useful.
Well, you know, well said, and welcome, Bacon Sandwich. That was kind of the question that started this whole thing off, is like, what's the relationship between Bitcoin and the stock market? And a lot of these things are lagging indicators, but there are also kind of confounding variables where sometimes one will do this and the other will do this when you expect it to do that. We really are still learning, even though people talk about the 4-year cycle as if it was some sort of like gospel, doctrine, scientific, objective fact. we have so few data points about Bitcoin, even less about Ether and any other cryptocurrency asset compared to the stock market, which, as far as like commodities, which existed for thousands of years ago, is a pretty new instrument. But we have so many more data points, millions more data points. So it's surprising sometimes, right? So Bacon, how are things going in your part of the world?
Yeah, all right. Bacon sandwich. Are you going to buy bacon and green candles when it launches? I already have bacon coin. It already exists. I only own 1% of the supply. I will never own more than 1% of the supply. I've created the token for other people, not for myself. The token has no utility. It has, as far as I'm concerned, has no value. But what it will be used for is a list of amazing legends to give free shit to. So I've taken the first snapshot already to receive a weapon skin for a game that's coming out later this month. The communities have got their own skin, and I've basically given that to everybody that holds the token. There will be loads more opportunities to give stuff away, and I'm using the holders of Bacon Coin as a list of people to give free stuff to. I'll also be using it as part of my training. I've been working on this training thing for a little while. I need to really focus back on that. I've left it for a little bit, but essentially buying the Bacon token is going to be part of the process of the learnings, getting to a point of being able to do an on-chain swap, and then buying a nominal amount of the Bacon coin as a proof of concept, essentially. So
very cool.
Yeah. But like I say, I'm not actively like selling it. I'm not telling people that it's going to the moon. I'm telling people that if you buy this, don't buy this for the expectation of making money, but use it as to be a part of a club that will get loads of free stuff. That's the idea behind it.
What chain is it on, and also what game is the skin, the NFT weapon skin?
Yeah, so the game itself is predominantly Web 2 with Web 3 elements. Pretty much every blockchain is supported. The idea is that the in-game assets can be turned into NFTs, then become tradable assets. But essentially, it will be on Solana, Ethereum, Polygon, Tezos. Insert EVM here; it will work with pretty much all of them. So,
what's it called?
Is on Solana. I launched it on Pump Fund just so I could guarantee decent liquidity when it launches. And like I say, I only own 1% of the circulating supply, and I'll never own more than 1% of the supply.
And what's the name of the game?
Yeah, what's the game called?
Oh, the game, the Egoverse. The Egoverse, it's called. You can look it up on YouTube. It looks really good. It's an independent studio. It looks not quite AAA, but it's very well polished indeed. And there's a tests kind of competition coming up on the 28th, or was it 23rd or 28th of August? I think it's the 28th. And basically people can play this game and earn prize awards and stuff like that. I think it's $750 to the winner. So if you're competitive, then it could be a good one to get involved in. You don't need an NFT or anything like that to participate. You can just jump straight in.
Yeah. Okay.
That's the trend we expect to see very much continue. Is here's a game anyone can play, and here's something cool you can do to prove you own what's yours. Very, very cool stuff, man. Very cool.
It's based on a Web 2 ideal initially, with Web 3 elements. Like I say, the in-game assets can be encapsulated into NFTs and then tradable. He is talking about the idea of maybe having lending available, where you can lend certain weapons or certain skins within a marketplace and that sort of thing. So that could be quite cool, but that's something for down the line. At the moment, it's kind of all about getting the game playable, tested, which it has been, and now it's go time. So super excited for Egoverse. I've known the creator of Egoverse for a couple of years. We've interviewed him a number of times. We interviewed him 3 weeks ago on the podcast, and it's probably one of the best podcasts we've had in a long time, actually, because he's got so much going on, and he's now towards the end of the journey. When we first met him, it was like, this is my idea, this is my concept, this is what we're going to do. And in my mind, I was like, yeah, you've got a lot of great ideas, but are you going to be able to deliver? And he's certainly delivered. So I'm actually quite impressed with what he's put together there.
Yeah, well, thank you for telling us about it, and you'll have to keep us posted as those kind of things develop. We always want to see, cool, fun, new stuff. Somebody in the comments asked a question. I think it was you, Cosmic, that might be fun to explore for people who don't know about this. This is a great example of why crypto is so cool, and I'd love for everybody to help with this. What is a synthetic asset? And if you're tempted to scroll, I would say, please don't. Because one of the cool things about cryptocurrency is that it is a new medium that gives a different kind of tangible form to intangible things. Things like money, things like value, whatever that means to you, things like assets in a digital space, like a game. And a synthetic asset is one way that crypto is uniquely suited to do that can increase the velocity of this thing, its ability to be available for more people. And the first example I would use of a synthetic asset, it simply means it is a thing which represents another thing. The way that my paper dollar bill or a digital $2 on my bank's ledger can represent the concept that I am entitled to $2 of value. Synthetic assets are maybe best understood with an example. The one I would point to is the USDC or USDT stablecoin. These are tokens that through different means are fixed to the price of an asset, in this case, the United States dollar. There is a great demand for dollars and generally for stable currency all around the world. There are lots of people in the global south, Central and South America, especially I'm thinking of right now, but many places around the world who would like access to a stable currency because theirs is subject to hyperinflation. Maybe it's very volatile. Maybe there's a lot of corruption in their country. They can't trust where the money supply comes from. They can't trust it to be stable. And so they would like access to dollars to have more stability. But there are not enough physical dollars. And they may not have the infrastructure to get digital dollars from, say, a bank who might give them a loan. A stable coin is a great synthetic asset, which in this case, is collateralized with other currencies, maybe Bitcoin, maybe gold, maybe actual US dollars in a bank somewhere, maybe by the use of an algorithm that would allow those people to get their hands on the dollar so that they could have that kind of liquidity wherever they were in the world, just by getting in touch with somebody else who had it that they wanted to buy it from, whether that's a person or an exchange. Go ahead.
So my understanding of the synthetic asset is kind of how you described it, where you've got asset A, so let's say that's Bitcoin, and then you'll have a treasury that buys, say, 20 Bitcoin. They'll then create 20 wrapped BTC that now it's not the actual Bitcoin, but it's interchangeable for so I could take one of my wrapped Bitcoin and I could swap that and redeem it for one actual Bitcoin. So that way you can have Bitcoin on Ethereum in its wrapped form as a synthetic token, and it tracks the price. So as the price goes up on Bitcoin, the wrapped Bitcoin will track that price. As the price goes down, it will also track that price, but it should be interchangeable one for one. There is a fundamental flaw with synthetic tokens is you can't always guarantee that wrapped Bitcoin has the same amount of Bitcoin backing it. So there could come a point where if everyone wanted to redeem their wrapped Bitcoin for the original Bitcoin, there may not be enough Bitcoin in the treasury to satisfy that demand. So there is always a little bit of a risk with synthetic assets.
Yeah, it's like a voucher. And one of we see synthetic assets used a lot in DeFi, where I'll park my Bitcoin at this protocol, and they will give me wrapped Bitcoin or whatever the synthetic token is that I can then use other places as if it were Bitcoin, but which I must ultimately redeem for Bitcoin if I want to own the underlying asset. So I give Alex my Bitcoin, he gives me ABTC. I take that ABTC, which represents my Bitcoin, which Alex holds, and I give it to Will. So now I've traded my ABTC for WBTC, and then I'm going to go over here and give it to the bacon sandwich, and then I'm going to get, this is called collateralized leverage. You are each time still having to pay back this person at the end of the day and all these people in the chain. But the reason somebody might do this with DeFi is often there is an opportunity to earn more by doing this than you have to pay back over time. If Alex says, hey, Evan, man, I really need you to pay back your loan. Then I got to sell this token so that I can sell this token, so that I can sell this token, so that I can get my original Bitcoin back. Otherwise, Alex keeps it forever. So they give a velocity to my money that wouldn't be possible if I didn't have that kind of digital tokenized currency, but it's risky too.
Yes. Definitely worth noting that this is not all sunshine and rainbows, right? Like there are pivot points where problems can arise, because the Bitcoin that is being synthesized on a different network has to be kept somewhere. And it still exists. It's not like we're taking it and, burning it or getting rid of it or something, because if you ever unwrap the synthetic asset, you put onto whatever chain, you need the original Bitcoin back again. And this is often where the biggest and most fast and most aggressive exploits happen, is whenever there is a mechanism that is allowing someone to have something that represents their money on a different chain that gets them something in return. Every major exploit we've seen in the last year that has been noteworthy has been at a bridge or a synthesizer point of contact, where something gets locked and then the new one goes over. Fun fact, it's not actually locked, and now I have an infinite money glitch. And they just do that until they get shut down. It happened on the Ronin
It's
bridge.
like old Tether.
Yeah. It happens quite often to the tune of millions and millions and millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So I don't know. I'm personally not the world's biggest fan of it. I don't know.
I gotta say,
makes me itchy.
I'm gonna be a pretty big fan of Coinbase's one, because I have my Bitcoin just kind of sitting around for forever, and I plan on it sitting around for a very long time. But if I can take it over to Coinbase, can wrap it with Coinbase, if I can keep that on Coinbase's centralized exchange too, that would be interesting for me, which I know isn't the safest. However, Coinbase does insure up to about $250,000 of stuff if they were to lose it. So there is a safety net there at least. And
I do, just as an aside, Will, I do encourage you to read the fine print on those insurances, because it's sus at best.
Yes, but there's something there. There is something there. Federally regulated, mandated insurance that you wouldn't have on a regular DeFi protocol. Yeah. And then I have the ability to earn interest on the Bitcoin that I'm planning to just have sit around there for forever. So that's a very, very tempting thing that when Coinbase comes out with their Coinbase wrapped Bitcoin, I'm absolutely going to be exploring, because I'm always in favor of decentralization over centralization. However, centralization comes with some nice risk management perks, along with additional risks. But, from like a loss of funds standpoint, there are risk reductions in places and extra risks in places. So it's out there.
There's actually one exchange that have provable one-for-one backing with the customer holdings. There's an exchange in Europe called Swissborg. It's bigger in Europe than it is in the UK, but it is available in the UK. They're the most compliant exchange in Europe. And basically what they do is they have their business expenditures and funds on one side, and then all of the customer holdings are in self-custody wallets, and you can go in and physically verify what these wallets are holding, essentially on your behalf, but it's held within a decentralized wallet that you can go into and view their actual holdings, and then match that against the money that they should have for customer holdings. So that avoids the FTX scenario of commingling funds and stuff like this, because it's verifiable on chain that Swissborg are holding customer assets here and business assets here.
That's very interesting. I would expect to see more of that over time as helpful regulation improves. Definitely. And I would love to. Yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
Let's say, especially with the ETFs exposing more and more and more and more and more people to Bitcoin, over time, people are going to be like, well, how do I earn interest off of this? Because I can earn dividends off of other things, and we don't have staking turned on because the SEC not likey stakey. So, how do I get interest?
The staking.
Yet.
So to summarize, a synthetic asset is a financial asset that mimics the value and characteristics of a real world asset or another digital asset without requiring ownership of it. So all synthetic assets are digital. Many of them are tokenized, but not all digital assets and tokenized assets are synthetic assets. The best explanation I heard is probably the briefest, and it comes from our friend Doug. In the comments, worth reading: synthetic is like a movie ticket. The ticket isn't the movie, but gives you the right to experience it. Alex posted an explanation, and I added an article with some examples in the general chat of our Discord, which you can find at theriseupmorningshow.com. If you're scared about Discord, don't hesitate. We have a super helpful walkthrough tutorial. We tried to make it not overwhelming. It's the place the conversation lives. We post stuff like that there regularly. And I would invite you to go there if you have a question that we don't answer today or that is too long for you to type out. You can find us there. We'd be glad to see you.
Yeah, so someone asked me to touch on something when I was talking about Swissborg. So Swissborg have got a gaming angle called Xborg, and they're doing all sorts of like competitions, with payouts, and their gaming ecosystem is growing quite nicely. It's separate from Swissborg, but it's under the same kind of umbrella. To be fair, the people that founded the exchange are big gamers, and it just made sense for them to sort of make their way into that. A couple of really interesting products that are available on Swissborg. They do these things called thematics. So it takes all of the guesswork about buying the good stuff. So what it does is it bundles cryptocurrencies up. So you'll have like an allocation of like 25% Bitcoin, 10% Ethereum, 10% Solana, 10% I don't know, Matic, and then going down that list, it will have like Casper, it will have Ton, and lots of other, and it baskets them together. And what it does is it rebases. So if Bitcoin is running and it's outperforming the market, it will then become like 36% share, whereas the Ethereum might go down to 8, and then it will rebalance those. So it takes some of the guesswork out of should I buy X, Y, Z? You buy a basket that will automatically. Because then that way you're not sitting there when something pops off and you're like, oh, I wish I'd bought this thing. Well, actually, you had like 5% exposure of that within the thematics. But they've got a gaming one, they've got a blockchain one, and they've got, what's it called? Crypto Banter. They've actually got their own thematics on there as well, which is a selection of their favorite things.
So it's basically like an automated balancing mutual fund.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. And that's available as a product on the service, which is really cool. It's one of the things that I've taken advantage of. Mm-hmm. Because when Beam was popping off a few weeks back, and I wouldn't have gone out and bought it, but because I'd bought the gaming thematic, I benefited from that a little bit of that price increase, and it pumped up the overall value of that portfolio.
Oh, nice, dude. It's hard to keep track of everything in the market.
It's so hard. That's honestly, that's why I tend not to buy individual like game project tokens, because I am not as much of a gamer as I used to be. So I don't have the chance to play them and find out, are they fun? And then I don't have the chance to follow the news. I tend to, if I'm investing my attention or my dollars, I do ecosystems. But I think it's such a, it's an exciting place that I hope I can spend more time, if only because I think the games are going to be a lot better when you can do stuff like, tokenize your experiences. Will, are you in Axie? You have Axies?
I did for a little bit in 2020.
Oh, okay. What's the, don't you hold one game in your portfolio now?
I do. It's Illuvium, because
that's right.
Because I can't unstake it for another month. And if I could, it would have been gone a long time ago. I staked, I think, 15% of my total Illuvium position just to experiment with it. And I was like, this game pops off, this will be worth a lot. I sold most of my Illuvium at the end of 2023 when the before or around the CEO stepped down. I can't remember exactly when it was, but the end of 2023, made a bunch of money on it. And it was just a coin I was really excited in. And then I just kind of lost a little bit of faith in and then sold. Yeah.
Look, you got 3 hats at the same time.
Love that. Thanks, dude. And so, that's the only coin I have that's a game coin. And then I do have NFTs of Star Atlas that I definitely paid way too much money for when it the NFT ships first came out, before there was price control on their stuff. But I have ships in Star Atlas that I'm excited to use if the game keeps developing, which it seems like it is. So, yeah.
I was just curious. I can't remember. Go ahead, Alex.
No, I agree. I don't often go in for specific games just because I know what the new games market looks like. It's so dense. I mean, just on Steam alone, I forget what the exact figure is, but it's somewhere in the neighborhood of like 18 to 25,000 games a year on average are released on Steam.
Ugh.
And 99% of them will never really see the light of day.
Nope.
So I've done, like, it's one of the ways that I recommend that people get involved in Web3 without buying a bunch of stuff, is to, like, either for free or for a couple bucks, try a game and just to see. Maybe it's going to suck, who knows. But I've done only a handful. Moonray was the most recent one, which I have still been able to get into and play and enjoy without spending a penny, which is great. And it's on Epic. So it was a very easy download. Star Atlas, I got a couple of those packs when they were doing the pack sale because they were a couple bucks and it was cool. Gods Unchained, I have a bunch of shit in, but all of it was for free because I started playing Gods Unchained basically as soon as it came out, because it was like Magic Arena and that was exciting. What else? A little bit of Axie stuff, but I haven't looked at it in forever. I have an extraction pack for Shrapnel, and I've gotten some of the token, but it was all free. I think that's about it. Like, specific games that I'm exposed to, but I completely agree. Like, my ideal way of getting into it is to find ecosystems that are like making it easy for people to launch games and that have some sort of standard, for like, what are we releasing? And then my more conservative bet would be like, this ecosystem will probably continue to churn out games, meaning that it will have attention even if, game XYZ never goes forward.
I was gonna be like, I should really get off the grid. I should really get off the grid and give it a whirl. And then I spent $100 on the collector's champion edition of Space Marine 2. And I was like, okay, I'm definitely only gonna be playing this game when I have free time. So my game bandwidth is taken up as soon as that comes out in a couple weeks.
Yeah, I feel you. Right now, I'm salty with Destiny, so I've taken a small break and using it to, like, just re-explore old stuff. And it is really making me wish that there was like some sort of retroactive token system for these old things. That would be a really cool project that I would probably invest in if someone wanted to build it, where you can. It would have to be like mostly symbolic, like for scrapbook purposes, like where you could use account data from your Microsoft or your Steam or your PlayStation Network or something to, like, log in and download, player data history off of your gamer tag or whatever, and then tokenize things. Like, this is the show 'em play.
Yeah.
Connect account XYZ, whatever, and tokenize pieces of it that you think are cool and build like a little scrapbook of POAP type tokens that you could then have and hold. I would pay money to be able to put together a tokenized scrapbook. It was my favorite shit from the last 20 years.
Is that like, Cosmic was talking about Fortnite in the comments, and Epic Games has talked a lot about how they're not going to do, crypto or NFTs in Fortnite. But I saw an article, and I just pulled it up again, where Tim Sweeney, who's the Epic CEO, he said that they may utilize blockchain in the future, but would not use crypto or offer NFT trading. So do you have more insight on that? When I heard that, I was like, what else could you do then? And that was one of the things I was thinking about. I was like, oh, well, you could give players the option to tokenize things that would be account bound or I don't know, use accounts as keys or something.
He's deliberately saying that because he doesn't want to get into the world of having to carry a different business license for Epic Games.
Got to be big time compliant for that.
Yeah, so I if I was him, I would say the exact same thing, and I would probably do allow you to, like, tokenize and scrapbook shit that's in your gamer portfolio.
So it'd be like your achievements and stuff, like your in-game achievements. Yeah.
Okay. to have and to hold, that kind of stuff. but not necessarily to sell, just because then they would have to carry all sorts of different licenses. And like you said, there would be a huge compliance problem. I guarantee, I mean, the SEC would immediately start suing them. So I certainly would run far away from that if I was Epic, or, I mean, really any of them, unless you were very deliberate or you had a very specific plan to handle that. Especially because they already know that there is a black market for video game related assets. I mean, if you Google RuneScape Gold, there are dozens of websites, and these people make tons of money just like bot farming gold in RuneScape and selling it. It was so bad for a while that Jagex removed in-game trading of game assets, which was like a fundamental piece of RuneScape's in-game economy, was the ability for people to be able to farm skill items and trade them to other people for different skill items. And they removed that, which was bonkers. But it was out of the game for years, and it was exclusively because of black market account trading.
Well, and Alex, who was it that eventually endorsed it, but was like, you got to do it on our marketplace?
Well, Counter-Strike. And
yeah, okay. Didn't Steam do that too? And they only gave you like Steam bucks or something. I'm out of it, but
that could be. I'm not a big Steam gamer, so I'm not sure if Steam did something like that. But I know that there has been sanctioned in-game asset trading since Ultima Online, and there are lots of games that do it. RuneScape did bring it back because player backlash was so egregious that they had no choice, and they have basically just like come to peace with the fact that now the black market exists. But if they were to endorse it instead of trying to crack down on it, then compliance would have their ass.
Will, can you comment on, will GTA 6 have it? Can you speculate?
No.
I think the answer is probably no, though.
Well, you guys don't see
GTA is not going to have it.
There's a representative from Rockstar Games standing behind Will's phone with a gun pointed at him.
Yeah, no.
If you want a good conversational deep dive about it, the one I would recommend is Google Faceless Labs Rising Up William Quigley. We can put it in the Discord. We had an awesome conversation with the co-founder of Tether and Wax, who is like an OG gaming investor founder. Pre-crypto, that's where he was. His partner invented the concept of trading stuff in video games for money, and brought it to life, and had just a fantastic perspective on like how tokens and blockchains will be integrated into the gaming experience, how they won't be, and why. Like his explanation for why incumbent companies like Epic or like Blizzard won't use NFTs is fantastic. And he just speaks super cogently about it. And honestly, we got to have him back again. I have occasionally followed up and texted him, and I don't know if he's just like busy or overwhelmed, or if he's like, man, I don't want to talk to that guy again. But he hasn't answered me yet. I would love to have a round two, because when we turned the camera off, he stayed. We talked for, I don't know what, Alex, probably almost 2 hours, and then we turned the camera off, and he talked for like 2 hours more, but like totally unfiltered. And we were like, oh, man, we could have gotten this.
Yeah, Will, if you're listening to this, it was annoying, because it was so good. He was just, I mean, it was like it's everything that you would imagine without throwing him under the bus here. That like corporate, big public figure, whatever, like has the talking points and says the stuff, and then you turn the cameras off, and he's just like, man, God, fuck those people. Like this is bullshit. Like this is never gonna work. Like this is insane. Blah blah blah.
It was
blah.
so good, dude.
It was epic. It was like, God damn it, I wish we had been recording that.
I wish we had to. I mean, some of the things he said, he was talking about his experience. I don't know. I would, I was so nervous when we were talking to him, like about being professional and giving him like a great interview experience. And then when the camera was off, I was like, oh. Like I could have just been real frank with this guy. I think the first thing out of his mouth, I think he was some sort of curse. Where
you're like, oh man, I could have had like, I could have been more me. We could have had like a more natural conversation, more fun, more personality, more flavor. Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't use a ton of cursing anyway, but I would have asked him a lot more. I don't know, probing questions. It's a good lesson I learned as an interviewer by experience that day. Is you should always invite people to speak freely and frankly and do so yourself, with the caveat that we can strike anything from the record later. I mean, we would say that. I would say, say what you want to say, and if you want us to take something out, we will. But I should have modeled that better,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, for sure.
So go check that out. It's worth it. It's William Quigley, Rising Up, Faceless Labs. We'll put it in the general chat, but it's a great conversation for anybody who wants to understand. It's 2 years old, but really understand like the tokenized future, specifically when it comes to gaming and other consumer use cases. William is sharp. And we have Mashiste here, speaking of people who understand the future of consumer use cases. I had the chance, Alex, to talk to him a little bit over the weekend, and I was just sharing with him some thoughts and ideas about increasing the usability of something like POAP. And also, we talked a little more about the show 'em concept and a marketplace oriented around identifying and tokenizing things so that people could make moments matter, connect with each other, brands, businesses, share more value, yada, yada, yada.
I was going to say, for sure, it would be super interesting to, given, because I also had the privilege of talking to Mike over the weekend to hear the news, which if he wants to spoil, he can.
Oh yeah, I heard. Yeah,
but I think it would be really cool to do some experimentation with, the things that he's going to be working on, and show them specifically, and the Syndicate games specifically, because both of those are things that could easily work. They could definitely use. I think that the Coinbase Smart Wallet, for example, is potentially one of those like ideal tool things that would make Show 'em like way better. It would have been like some of the things that we were sitting there, kind of pondering for a while. I would love to, Mike, let's put a pin in that, because that would be a good conversation to have for sure.
I would just like to start the official Rise Up to Coinbase pipeline.
Oh yeah. Well, there was so much stuff. I mean, Dreadbite was probably worth seeing the light of day someday.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Founders Forge is fucking awesome, and Coinbase would probably be all over that if they heard the whole pitch on it. I mean,
it's like Coinbase Learn, but for kids. Yeah.
My portfolio of like projects that are completely, ideaed and actually have like some, footwork done to, pushing out is huge. There's way too much. There's like multiple companies worth of stuff. Just have that annoying thing of not being an engineer. So get at me.
Yeah. While we're here together, I wonder if now is a good time to conduct our giveaway for Banana Gun. We haven't done the second week giveaway for the contest, and I'm glad to draw a random number live. I want to thank everybody who participated, helped us make a good impression on Banana Gun, who gave us good feedback, gave us good questions. If you're not hip to Banana Gun, someone was asking earlier about it. We've got videos and tutorials. They were generous enough to sponsor the show. Now that they are on the Solana blockchain, super cool stuff. Great crypto product that you don't have to spend any money to start clicking around on and learn a little bit about how to trade tokens. But one person will win some money that they can go spend in the meme coin casino or any other way they prefer. I have got all the folks who signed up. Congratulations to Keith, who won last week. The winner this week, I'm going to give you my random number generator screen. Let's find it. I need a drum roll, please. And if Bunches is in the house, I would love for him to see this. Is he hanging with you, Alex? Bunches! Okay, so we've got 12 people eligible. Thank you for the drum roll. And the number is 2. Okay, let's go. Let's see. Where are we at? I need Banana Gun. Oh man, this is the most anticlimactic drawing. Referral contest. Here we go. Let me go back to number 2. It was originally Keith. Donald Pump was number 1. Keith was number 2, but he's not eligible. Saby, S-A-B-Y. Congratulations. You are the winner. I'm going to send you a DM, and we will get you your fun money. Thank you again to Banana Gun. Thank you to everybody who tested it out. If you have a question about it still, let us know. Our tutorial is in the Discord. It's on the YouTube channel. And it's definitely, like I say, the kind of tool you want to get some familiarity with if you plan to use Telegram trading bots. There are many good options. BonkBot, Photon, which has a web app. Banana Gun will have a web app coming soon, and it's just a great, helpful way to trade your crypto. That's the commercial. That's done. The Rise Up Morning Show is not sponsored by Coinbase, but it could be. It should be.
Could be.
So if you've got a sponsor that we can partner with to add value to you as a watcher of this show, or somebody who might come to join us, then let us know. We'll be happy to hunt them down. And all of that supports the work we are able to offer for free, which we hope will be more and more and more and more in the future. Thank you, guys. Okay, so if you've got a question and you haven't left it below while I was doing the commercial, what the heck were you doing? Let me get caught up on the chat. And guys, feel free to jump in here and help me out.
Evan,
Bacon's got the sunglasses on, going full Terminator. Sorry, Will?
You did give me an idea for a video to make, which is around how there have been technology breakthroughs that have lined up very nicely with, the different bull cycles and have helped to like generate a bunch of liquidity for those bull cycles. Because we had ICOs, which was like, the really exciting way that built a ton of liquidity in Ethereum for the altcoin rally and Bitcoin cycle we saw in 2017. And then it was the explosion of NFTs in the previous cycle that brought a bunch of liquidity, once again, largely in Ethereum, but also in Solana, that created a bunch of liquidity that helped make altcoins really, really run. And this time, Alex, you mentioned it's been meme coins, but meme coins are not a new type of technology. Meme coins are not something that necessarily generate liquidity. And that might be one of the reasons as to why we've had a...
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say I completely agree. I don't want it to make it sound like I was saying that was like the equivalent.
Oh, yes.
It was the inverse. It was an extractive.
Yes. Alex, I fully understand your positioning on meme coins in general. So, yes.
Just making sure, because I kind of just yelled memes and called and left it at that.
Yes. No. Yeah. No, I wasn't trying to insinuate that at all. But this time, like the big craze on the altcoin side has been memes, but memes are not a new technology. They're not something that generates liquidity in the same way that NFTs did, and especially ICOs did. And so now it's like, okay, cool, we've had this bull run without a new pairing of new technology that can generate liquidity, or is this like new exciting use case, like Evan mentioned, like meme coins aren't new. And so it's like, well, what could that be? Could it be the wrapped Coinbase Bitcoin? No, probably. I don't know, because that's not new, but it would be a way if like Coinbase got really popular at that and then started marketing that to people like, hey, you can earn interest on your Bitcoin. That could be the creation of liquidity that we need from Bitcoin because there's so much of it. So that's a maybe, but I'm not necessarily sold on that idea. Then you have Solana's Fire Dancer upgrade, which could give the thumbs up approval of something like a Visa to be like, hey, this is like really, really great. We can actually like really build on this. And that could be a huge adoption of technology with major corporations, which could bring a bunch of money and be a big liquidity driving event specifically for Solana. But I don't know of another new technology that's like on the cusp of being created that is something that like is like an ICO or something like NFTs.
Yeah.
Alex, you're chomping at the bit.
I am, just because, so on Fire Dancer, we don't know for sure, but Mert has started cryptic tweeting again, which is usually indicative that something is about to drop, so it could be that. Usually whenever he starts talking extra shit and then saying you guys aren't ready for the next few weeks, usually that's right before the last time he did that, Blinks came out, so we'll see. But I would agree, and I would actually push back and say I think that it's time that we stop. Like, we don't need any new, we have plenty of tech that's not being utilized great or properly. It's like I keep saying, people don't need, the last thing that we need are more fucking cryptocurrencies. What we need are better things to do with the cryptocurrencies that we have. We have tens of thousands more than need to exist. Like a couple dozen of them deserve to exist, to be very honest. So we have all these. Can we let's just take a beat? And it's like being in a dead sprint to keep building houses, and yet we're just like duct taping balsa wood together to make bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger houses, when it's like, okay, can we put some fucking pine in the first house before we make another apartment complex out of cardboard and duct tape?
No.
No,
we need
exactly.
more shiny things, Alex.
Yeah, because there's no sexy hyped up liquidity extraction from fixing, integral old stuff as there is with shilling something new and buzzy. Anyway,
So I was going to add on there about the liquidity thing. I think that the liquidity inbound for things like zero knowledge and other things like Celestia, like modular blockchains, because I kind of feel like there's a lot of potential liquidity to come through those different systems, zero knowledge and stackable systems, and also you've got these block DAGs as well, which I think will also attract a lot of additional liquidity too.
Well, that seems like a good place to say. There was a question that came in about what we think crypto will look like in the next 10 years, and I'd love to go around and get everyone's thoughts about like, where are we going to go? Are we going to build more balsam houses, or are we going to pine? Is everybody getting a house, or is it just the elites? And I do want to invite everybody here. Bacon, what I'd like to do is I'd like to start with you and get your thought on this and a final thought from you. And I would love to encourage anybody else to request in. We have a lot of people here that we have really gotten to know, like Bacon, like Machiste, like Doug, like Rick, like Tori. If you have a question and you're frustrated by the comments, we really do want this to be your show. So we want you to feel like you can call us like it's the hotline. So tap the little request button if you'd like to come up and ask a question. And if you're shy, you can just type it in the comments or in the Discord and we will get to it. But Bacon, you first. 10 years from now, is that the kind of thing you expect to see? Full scale, ZK, full scale, everything tokenized? What are you thinking?
I see a fully interoperable world where it doesn't matter what chain you're on. It will all be interchain. Everything will be intercommunicated. Another thing I want to add on to the liquidity thing, we're about to see cross-chain liquidity through Chainlink and a few other people as well. I think that that's also going to bring a lot of additional liquidity to the market. In regards to the 10-year question, something that Satoshi told me about was the Bitcoin wars. We haven't had the Bitcoin wars yet. The Bitcoin wars is where the government's finally realized that Bitcoin is something of value and they want to now have control of it. They don't like things like money where they don't have control. So Bitcoin wars is where the US government or a collection of European governments plus the US plus a bunch of other guys try and take over the network. They try to own 51% of the network. And then what ends up happening is that people see that, they don't want it, and then more people individually start switching on individual miners in their bedroom to counteract the force to try and get to 51%. Now, the fact that we are now so much further down the line now, it's now going to be much harder to achieve that 51%, with Bitcoin being not quite the most decentralized, but pretty close to being the most decentralized network ever created. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the 10-year thing. Is the Bitcoin wars. We haven't seen that yet.
Yeah, I think we already are there. I think that's already happening, but it's not going to be as us against them. It's going to be way more subtle because the U.S. empire is really good at stuff like that, and also at not being subtle. Like you have BlackRock owns 40%
a whole bunch of miners. If you look at all the big mining companies, who are they owned by? Well, they're owned by BlackRock and Vanguard.
Yeah, exactly. That's it right there. 40% market share in like the top 6 of the top 9 publicly traded block. It's something like that. 40% of them are owned by BlackRock. So it's like you have that. So it's like that's already there. But the thing is they wouldn't threaten that evidently, like the 51%, because that would ruin trust in the network, and that would ruin the ability, I believe, for its price to go up, and BlackRock wants its price to go up. So you're going to have something where the U.S. government can apply pressure on it as a form of enforcement in some way, shape, or form. It won't be as much as they can with the dollar, but that's like the foundational pieces of that are already set up through BlackRock's purchasing of the Bitcoin mining companies, as well as through the ETF product. And also Coinbase is a part of this too. We like Coinbase, but Coinbase having the custodial relationship with BlackRock is also a part of that. I'm still a fan of it because I want price to go up. So like I'm a fan of all this stuff. At the same time, it's not a 100% gift to the community having, the traditional financial world added into our markets, right? like it's something that we're all pretty aware of. But at the same time, we want the money to go up to improve our own lives and lives of our kids and families and all that other kind of stuff, right? So it's you get some and some gets taken away for sure. So the Bitcoin war is starting, but I don't think it's going to be like governments trying to exactly take over the network, but to take over it enough to be able to influence it, right? So something like that I think is more so reality. So I didn't disagree with you, Bacon, but if you're still here, but I just think it's going to be a little bit more subtle than the way Satoshi first kind of wrote of it.
Yeah. Bacon says, still there, need to get back to work. No problem. Thank you for sharing so much of your time with us this morning. Alex, what do you think? We got 2 different takes on it. Do you have a third?
It's a good one. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, 10 years is really not that long.
Yes.
In crypto years, it's going to feel like a century.
Forever.
Guys, we're going to be so gray by then.
But at the end of the day, I don't know that I think anything absolutely earth-shattering or monumental will happen. What I would really like to see is a better understanding. I would like to see a shift in Washington specifically that accurately differentiates between the presence of fraud and crime using cryptocurrencies and blockchain tech and all of the good stuff, the same way they have managed to differentiate between financial fraud and crimes like the white collar division and all of the regular everyday people that use money to drive their lives. Mm-hmm. I think right now there is still firmly those camps. So I guess my contrarian answer would be nothing tech specific, probably harder, better, faster, stronger, everything. Probably a lot fewer choices. I keep seeing, we can talk about this next, but I keep seeing people saying we know this bull run hasn't happened because there's been no altcoin run. Yes, there has, a big one. Lots of alts. Solana did a 20x.
Oh, was it a 20x?
It went from 8 to 210.
Oh,
it did
right. Yeah, I forgot the low was 8. I thought the low was $20 for a second.
So alts ran. A ton of them ran a lot. The bullshit didn't. So lots didn't run because they didn't bring anything new to the table. So altcoin season didn't happen is code for my bags didn't pump. And so yes. I think that that is my evidence for the fact that there's been no bull market yet. I think we're going to get farther and farther down that road to where Bitcoin is going to keep doing the Bitcoin thing. And then, the 10 that make sense are going to keep doing that. And then there's going to be probably a growth of interest in launch pads and incubators and accelerator programs to get more startups funded and going with probably much stricter vetting, I hope, on exactly what deserves to raise $30 million. So I imagine that the VC funnel is going to tighten and there won't be quite as much just free fundraising getting tossed around with zero real reason. I think the whole market and ecosystem needs to shrink, and then what's good needs to continue to get better. And then we need to have, the sandbox. I like one of the things that came up in that town hall that I've seen kind of bandied around a little bit more is, the regulatory sandbox, a place where people can innovate and experiment and try stuff and see what it works like in a controlled, confined environment where they're not going to worry about, breaking some arbitrary regulation that, is a weird interpretation of a law from 30 years ago that doesn't really apply, but we're gonna shoehorn it in anyway. So that's really what I want to see over the next decade. I want to see us tidy up, do a little housekeeping and draw a clear distinction between people who use this stuff maliciously and people who use it altruistically, the same way that we've managed to do that with the fiat finance world.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I know, but I've just to piggyback on that, I'm pretty much just going to say the exact same thing though. But I think you're absolutely right when people say this altcoin, there hasn't been an altcoin season, and meanwhile I was just looking at some of my bags, and I was like, the market's down 50%, and like this one bag I have is still up 125%. And then my aerodrome's still up like 300%. I'm like, no, like it's just that like there are a lot of coins that just got their asses kicked, because you're right. This time the turds fell and like the really good coins went up. And I think you're going to see a big shift in the next bull run, whether that's going to start tomorrow or that's going to start a few months from whenever it is, like next like big bull run. Obviously Bitcoin goes up in that scenario, but I think you're going to see a lot of people make many more portfolios that look similar to yours, Alex, that are, air quotes in your own words, boring, but the boring portfolio outperforms the vast majority of the market by buying something like Solana, Ethereum, and Bitcoin. You're not going to get 100x there, but if you outperform the market, you're winning. So I think more people are going to go to that. Obviously, you'll have your meme coin craze and yada, yada, yada. That's just going to happen. Human greed is human greed. But I think you're going to see a lot more influencers, in particular, a lot more crypto Twitter people, right? When they talk about their portfolio, it's going to be boring, right? With like maybe 10% of their portfolio exposed to like high risk plays. I think you're going to see a big shift like that because of this experience we've had.
Yeah, well said. I also think, like both of you, that some of the stuff that happens is going to be both fast and slow. Like, will we have regulations? Yeah, certainly better. But will they be that far along? Maybe not. 10 years seems like a long time, and it definitely will feel like a long time in crypto. But I'm most hopeful for a sort of shaking out of some of the projects that are vaporware, and a sort of leaps and bounds progress by Ethereum, for example, Chainlink, other oracles. I think that people will experience the benefits of being on chain, intermediaries that are costly being removed, trust happening faster, cheaper, and generally understanding more what this technology is, the way they understand smartphones and the internet. I don't know what it's going to take if it's the Coinbase Smart Wallet, but I'm thinking there will be some kind of iPhone moment that will bring more people on chain, probably for DeFi, but also possibly for like social experiences like gaming. And I think more people are going to be in the conversation the way we are, but like not as nerdy about it. I think we will be talking about this in an anomalistic way. I think lots of people will have lots of shows, but they will just be gaming shows, and they will just be, I don't know, finance shows. That this will become a more common part of the parlance, and we'll be over here talking about, the tech of it all or whatever. I've been here since before ZK things were a thing. I don't know.
I've been here since we spent millions of dollars on pictures.
I bought Bitcoin at an ATM. Yeah. I really look forward to those days. I cannot tell you how much I look forward to that.
I have not bought Bitcoin at an ATM, and I feel like I should.
Oh, no, I haven't either. To be clear, I have not either. There is nothing that makes me feel like I'm concerned I would catch a venereal disease, if I'm being completely honest.
Probably ATM.
Fake Robert Croak, I might have to mute you. If that's really you, Robert, then what have you?
I'm just curious.
I follow and am followed by the real Robert Croak, but we've never had an exchange.
I was going to say, as am I, and we've never reached out. So I'm just curious why we've gone from never speaking to aggressively trying to get on the show in the span of about 30 seconds. So
yeah. But that Robert Croak would be an interesting guest to have on. Founder in the Web 2 world who's trying to learn about crypto and may not get very far if he keeps hanging out with influencers on TikTok. Go ahead, Will.
Who is Robert Croak?
Robert Croak is the founder of Silly Bands and is known on TikTok for taking walks and saying, if you want to invest, here are 3 ways to get started. He gives out practical, actionable, legal financial advice. For a long time, he was doing just videos, but he does live streams occasionally, and he's got a tremendous following here. You can tap on his picture and his face, and you'll see, this is me, guys. I am also a financial advisor. Well, You're not my financial advisor, Robert. I would love if it's really Robert, we could share a conversation. But
this Robert has 8,986 followers. I think from what you guys are saying, Robert.
Oh, Robert Croak official has 1 million. He's got a blue check.
Yeah.
No, listen to me, Robert. If it's you, and you can prove it, I will apologize. But you have to understand that given our niche, this is the single most sus thing ever. And I have zero reasons to assume that this is the real Robert Croak. And if you say that your account is restricted from live, that means you can still DM me from the real one. We're mutual, so go ahead and shoot me a DM from the real one. And there you go. Let me know that it's you. Otherwise, I'm not bringing your weird alt up that looks just like the other 19,000 fake Robert accounts that exist.
Crypto Thanos, free Robert Croak.
For real though, we could try and get him on. I think he lives in Florida, maybe Miami or maybe somewhere else. And I think he knows a lot of our mutual friends. So, Robert, we'd love to have you on the show, brother. Thanks for your time. Or all the imitatees. You know what to do.
He is from Ohio. Now I know. I am from Ohio. Well, that was fun.
Oh my gosh.
Sonaran Art was asking me. There was some conversation about or confusion about Republican crypto policies. So yeah, no, the Republican Party they do have crypto policies. And I took notes during Trump's speech at Bitcoin Nashville conference, which is the entire platform. And this is going through the speech in order. So after about 30 minutes of him talking about shitting on Biden, smearing Kamala, what was it? AI, telling people you're going to love me. The first piece, fire Gary Gensler day one is the first thing he said. The second thing he said was appointing Bitcoin Advisory Council, which actually I really like. It's designed to create transparent regulations. The council would be made up of people who are from the crypto industry. He said that there would be federal agencies that would never create the central bank digital currency. He would protect the right to self-custody. There would be an expansion of stable coins to continue the strengthening of the dollar, which is smart and also good for liquidity for crypto. Lowest energy costs in the world, which will help to attract more Bitcoin mining and make Bitcoin miners more profitable. The policy of the United States will be to hodl all Bitcoin in the future and use it as a strategic U.S. Bitcoin stockpile, but not to buy Bitcoin, just to hold it. Ross Ulbricht's sentence would be commuted. He was the Silk Road guy. And that's the entire Republican platform for crypto.
I find it weird that the Republican platform is Trump platform. Like that's the stance I have seen from. There are some Republicans on Capitol Hill who have helped draft policy with other senators and Congress people, but it seems like the Republican platform on crypto is whatever Trump's platform on crypto is, and I don't feel like that's quite the same for Democrats.
To be fair, whoever is the president is the face of the party, right? And I would say more so in the Republican Party, though, to your point, the figurehead it's a more concentrated leadership via Trump, and it's just kind of like everyone get in line. The Democrats aren't as, you could use the word, they aren't as unified as that, or they aren't as pigeonholed and trapped into that. Whichever term you want to use is accurate. And yeah, so that's the Republican Party, very much so, I think everyone can agree, is the party of Trump at the moment, and anybody who isn't in line with him typically kind of gets ostracized a bit in the Republican Party. The Democratic Party, there isn't that single leadership. You have the very progressive wing with AOC and the other folks and Bernie, and then you have Biden and them, and you have kind of some more disagreement in the Democratic Party that is allowed to happen without people getting ostracized. So it seems to be that way. But you still very much so, if you have a different opinion in the Democratic Party, the more progressive wing has very clearly and publicly been pushed to the side by more of the neo-political Democratic side. So just in my observation, largely with how Bernie was about to win the nomination, and then they like really worked together to centralize voting power to make sure Bernie didn't win. That's one example there. And then there have been a bunch of public examples of like Nancy Pelosi and Elizabeth Warren working against like AOC and Imam. I forget her name. I don't remember all the name of folks. But so yeah. But yeah. Anyway, U.S. elections, guys. We want to learn more information. Click the link below.
Yeah. We do get the election footnotes, so I'm sure there are lots of good sources to learn about it. Alex, do you want to give a summary of the Democrat position from what you've heard most recently in the town hall discussions about what different policies are like on that side?
Yeah, I would love to, but there is not a Democratic position right now. To answer the question, like what's the bull case politically? The ideal bull case politically is that both parties admit that this is just like an industry worth learning about and stop kneecapping it every chance they get. Because I hate to break it to you, but there are politicians on both sides of the aisle that hate this and are aggressively opposed to it, just like there are politicians on both sides of the aisle that want to see it explored. It is a bipartisan issue, and anyone who says otherwise is voting against their own interests, as is the American way, which is really annoying. So I would encourage you to look at the big picture here and think not about like what's most likely to pump my bags by a few percent in the short term, and what's more likely to make sure that this industry doesn't die in 5 years because it's just overrun with whatever the fuck we're doing now with the... I gotta move. Jesus Christ.
Getting that sunbeam.
Yeah, getting cooked.
It's just perfectly positioned. Anyway, no one party is going to be the good one for crypto. That's such a tired talking point. I would ask you, how many problems have faced the United States that have ever just been unilaterally solved by one party while the other party was unilaterally opposed to it? I challenge you to give me an example.
Slavery.
Huh?
I said slavery.
Slavery?
There's one example for you.
Womp womp.
Would you like another one?
Honestly, good example, yeah.
Yeah, no, fair. Okay, fair. Thank you.
Actually, that might be the only one.
Fair, no, fair. But it just makes me sad. So all I expect to see right now is the admission from Washington that they have a lot to learn. An advisory council of some sort is great. Spoiler alert, we have one. We've had one for years. Congress has a blockchain caucus that was founded more than a decade ago. And there is the Crypto Advisory Council that is made up of CEOs and industry leaders from all over Web3, and they actively work in Washington and they talk to legislators. They were just there within the last 2 weeks meeting with Kamala Harris's campaign camp. We have not heard any policy updates, but they were there. So we don't need to make a new council. We have one. We need to empower the one that is there and give them more of a platform to speak from and make their case. We need to probably make sure that regulatory agencies are going after the right people. Like there's a ton of people using crypto to steal money from people. There's a shitload of TikTokers actively doing it right now, using crypto to steal from their audience. And it would be great to see the CFTC and the SEC go after those people instead of sending Wells notices to Uniswap and dodging phone calls from Gemini so that they have grounds to sue them later. Like we have that. I don't know. That's kind of the thing. There is no platform on crypto from either party yet. There are vague platitudes from the Republican Party for crypto. Pro-crypto legislation, and then there is light interest from the Democrats and some more vague platitudes. So we need to get past the platitude stage and get to the actual proposal stage. So whatever this the Senate bill is that they would like to see by the end of the year, I'm very anxious to read it because that would be cool. But we have FIT 21, we have SAB 121. These are examples of legitimate pieces of policy that need to go. All right, hold on. This fucking asshole. I'm so over you, dude.
Yeah. Oh, I just saw his comment. You blocked my Robert. He's got a whole deck.
No,
Oh my God.
he's in my DMs asking to be friends, saying, I have one of you too. Like, yeah, no shit you do, dickweed.
Oh my God. I got him.
Where you have to have a Kamala Harris costume.
Got to catch them all, man.
Anyway. Yeah, and spoiler alert, you want to be friends with the show, impersonating everyone on it to swindle people is not the strongest opener you could lead with.
No, that's
So
not.
that's a rough take. That's a rough take. The bottom line, though, for this political conversation is very much that crypto is a nonpartisan issue.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
being against crypto is like being against toaster ovens. Like
Yes.
in 10 years, I feel confident saying in 10 years that will be something that politicians everywhere are like, I have always loved blockchain, even though they didn't. Like that will be what they say because it's not popular to be against it.
I love the idea of drawing the comparison of like being against crypto today is the same as in the future would be the same as you today saying you do not want your hot pockets to be warm and you do not want your toaster strudels and Pop-Tarts to be toasted. Like, what's going on here? What kind of monster are you?
Or like being against wheels. I don't know. I can't think of anything more innocuous like toilet paper. I don't know.
Well, it's. Go ahead, Will. Go ahead.
Oh no, this is going to be a change of topic. So if you have something to tag on there, go for it.
Yeah, no, just to carry on and wrap up that analogy. If you are opposed to crypto, I would challenge you to ask why, and then from the why, that's how you find what you're actually opposed to. Because most commonly, I hear from people, like, oh no, I don't like it. There's a lot of scams. I'm like, okay, cool. So we're unified in the fact that we are opposed to being scammed and defrauded, and we don't like financial crime. Cool. Crypto is, believe it or not a crime network. It's just a money tool that can be used to steal from people with the same way that ATM cards, cell phones, email, laptops, like everything else can be used to steal from people. So let's crack down on that. We can do a better job, like weeding that kind of stuff out. Blockchain is not the most efficient way to steal from somebody. It's pretty easy to follow the money. I don't recommend it if you're trying to get into a life of crime. Anyway.
No.
Wait, is this another account? He has an Armando account, and I think he has a Coach Ty account. Oh
He's
my
got
God!
Coach Ty. Listen, I already got Armando. Keep him coming, man. The band hammer is strong today. I'm ready for it. I did not know we were going to be playing whack-a-mole on the morning show, but here we are.
Here we are. It's fun. I mean, I'm like at the edge of my seat. But
take us where you're
to
taking us.
Everybody know we might see a whole slew of Tars AI videos again because they reached out to me and they're this morning and we're like, hey, we're doing another round of videos. Do you want it? I was like, this is not the time in the market to be doing this kind of stuff. I was just like, no, thank you. Good luck. But they are going to be talking. There's going to be a whole bunch of videos of people being like, hey, Tars AI has a Google startup partnership program thing, which is classic.
Yeah.
Put a logo on a screen because we signed up for their free program where we get nothing and they get nothing. And
cool.
Yeah. So anyway, keep your eyes open for that. See Tars AI videos lately talking about that Google partnership, and they're not sponsored, or they don't declare sponsorship. Just probably did.
I was talking to Alex about this. What do you think, Will, about as we recruit sponsors for the show? This is an idea that I think is ahead of its time, but which I think would actually be really good for sponsors and like their partners on TikTok with crypto specifically. You get the ick, right? When every influencer is talking about the same project. And that's like their MO is like, okay, we got an update coming. We need 20 KOLs or as many as possible to talk about what's happening now. That's like their approach. Spray and pray. We want this everywhere. But as a viewer, I feel like turned off when I see too many people talking about your product. That makes me suspicious. It raises my hackles. I'm like, oh, this is an advertisement, or it's a non-disclosed advertisement. Nothing wrong with advertising. I'm cool with that. But like, it makes me less inclined to buy their product. What do you think about the pitch? We will be your exclusive advertising partner, and what you may lose in reach. And I'm saying we as not just like Rums, the Rise Up Morning Show, but like any any advertising partner would say, we're going to be your exclusive advertising partner in this social channel, because audiences, what you lose in reach, you will gain in favor. Audiences don't want to see you advertising on 50 different platforms. They're less likely to take you seriously. They will trust you more if you have a partnership relationship with maybe one person that is exclusive. You think there's any proof in that pudding? Because I have a suspicion, I don't have the numbers on it, that it would actually convert to greater like brand favor, better impressions with the people they're reaching.
Yeah, well, the thing is if you're going to offer that, that's only possible if you have a very large audience size, because you're asking them to give up size of audience reach for those things. And so what you need to do is, that's something that would be doable and attractive for a company, because I think people would see that, like, oh, this hurts our reputation, blah, 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 blah. But, you know, it's how much are we giving? They're going to do a cost analysis of like, okay, like how big of an audience are we potentially giving up? What's the dollar sign value we have tied to that? What's the dollar sign value we could potentially have tied to there being, you know, more trust and having this exclusive relationship with these guys? If this show, like our show as example, is we're still small and growing, but we're strong. We've got great community, great people, strong community, all that. Obviously we're growing, but you know, we're not the size of Discover or you know, some of the other like super big organizations in the crypto space, right? Not yet. So, you know, with an organization like that, you can, of that size, like 1 million subscribers, you know, and across YouTube, you know, that's a ton. You could then have a relationship with that person, because you're still getting a massive audience, and you're going to get more of the trust because you're not being thrown around a whole bunch of influencers. So it's a cost analysis that the project or company or organization has to run in their heads.
Sure.
It's a thing too, you know, that's worth noting, that we can say now that, like Will said, maybe has not been fully realized yet, that, you know, there is a very specific life cycle to these things. You know, like, you know, start the process, spend X dollars, get X amount of views through however many influencer KOL partners we hire for, you know, this round of videos or content or whatever. How long does that last? You know, because these things all go the same direction, and it's like, you know, you can keep taking a bite of the same apple that everyone has been taking a bite of for several years now, and we can see where almost all of those projects are, which is nowhere good. So at some point, someone's going to have to deviate from that. I think about the way Chris Do talks about it on his show, that like...
Yeah, Will, side note, if you don't follow Chris Do, you should. He's fantastic.
Yeah, you should.
Do spelled like D-O. He's great.
So Chris Do?
Yeah.
I'll put him in the chat. Sorry, guys.
He owns a company called Future, which is spelled as it sounds without an E on the end.
Okay.
And we're back.
I know, I'm on it, Alex. You just keep talking. I got the hammer. I'm strong.
So
strong.
It's gonna take two things. It's gonna take someone who wants to take a chance with it and see how it goes, because in order to get proper data, you have to try. And then two, it's just gonna take someone who's willing to admit that the current model is broken, which we have plenty of data to suggest. You know, what goes up quickly comes down quickly, and no one in crypto has really ever tried to build slowly and methodically. It may seem like it by comparison.
What about Cardano?
You still have to be growing. You still have to be
growing is the key word there, Will.
Okay, sure.
You can't go slowly and methodically and then plateau before you've reached adoption and interest. So I don't know, that's how I would have the conversation. You know, like if someone was willing to entertain it, not to commit to it, but to entertain the idea. And if I was them, I would ask the question exactly as Will set it up. Like, why would it be your platform given XYZ? And it's like, okay, here's several things, quick and easy things that you can do to audit. Take an example of any of these massive chains or any of these massive shows, platforms, whatever. And not to toot our own horn too much, but there is a humongous difference between the content makeup of the comment sections on those videos and shows than there is on this one. For example, none of them can post anything without 10,000 people yelling at them for shilling garbage and being down and promoting scams and doing whatever. There's a reason we don't get that. And so you can, you can look at it that way. You can admit the way that things have gone so far. The standard MO of the crypto project life cycle is, quick burn, flame out, crash and die, be forgotten, fade into obsolescence. Or you can try something new. And the trying something new is cheaper and more likely to last. Only by the fact that we know beyond a shadow of a doubt that the current method is almost guaranteed to fail. So I guess it's just it seems like a bad pitch, but to someone who is like truly analytical and not just after a quick liquidity extraction, I think it would resonate. The problem is that the overwhelming majority of people trying to advertise something in crypto are exclusively after the quick liquidity extraction. Life cycle doesn't interest them.
Yeah, no, it's very true.
And somebody asked about like the retail versus, somebody said something like, when, I wish I could remember, it was way at the beginning of the live. Somebody was asking about like retail investors, are institutions waiting for retail investors, or are VCs waiting for retail investors? And in most cases, I feel confident saying this, but correct me. Most crypto tokens, if there is any kind of product at all, if there is any kind of like utility, or they pitch it to you as if there is, most of those, the utility is VCs invested money and need to make it. They are holding on to it until enough people come that they can sell it. They tell the story using the money they've raised in order to attract more liquidity. If there is a product, there's one builder on the team or 2 or 10 or whatever trying to build something real. They're just trying to get enough runway to build a solution to their problem. And if the problem is like the metaverse, or I don't know, bringing every bank on chain, that's going to take dollars, like triple $ dollars, big time money, and a lot of time. It's hard. And so they need more fundraisers, and eventually there just aren't people in line. So everybody kind of, you see the ICP chart, or you see I don't know. Not that ICP isn't doing cool stuff, or that Cardano isn't doing cool stuff, but some companies, they rebrand. Near did a rebrand. Will, and I saw you talk about them a couple months ago. And I was like, wow, here looks like an ecosystem that might actually have a successful kind of pivot rebrand to a different problem. They have enough money, they have enough attention, they're doing novel stuff. Maybe it'll work out for them. But that's like how the cycle is. If you've been here for 4 years and your company isn't going anywhere, you might have to reinvent yourself. It's frustrating and difficult.
Those rebrands are tough, though. A lot of the times you have crypto companies who do a rebrand, and maybe it's like a new sexy name, new sexy logo. Hey, we're in line with this use case, and there's some excitement. But most of those rebrands are typically just like rebrands and a team like grasping at straws to remain relevant. I'm trying to think of a rebrand, and you guys might be able to be better at this, because once something's dead to me, or no longer in my life, my brain absolutely fully erases it. And so can you guys think of a coin that had a rebrand that came back into relevancy? I can't think of a single one.
Yes, Near, AIOZ, and
did Near change its name?
No.
No, but they have rebranded from modular layer whatever scalable to isn't their thing like AI chain? That's their big brand.
When they first started, they were like, we're the chain for AI. Then they were like, oh no, we're the platform cryptocurrency, just like Solana and Avalanche, who did great this cycle. Now they're like, we're back to AI.
Yeah, and same thing for AIOZ. They used to want to be like YouTube but make it crypto, blockchain enabled video streaming platform, and now they have a totally different value proposition. And to be clear, for AIOZ, I have a lot less hope than I do for Near. I don't think they're anywhere near as well funded. They haven't demonstrated as much proof with their pudding. I don't know. Those are two examples. Did you have any else?
No, sorry, I was just typing, but no, not really. Look, I mean, listen, things move too fast, and it takes absolutely nothing to shake confidence in a project. Like in this day and age, people are like actively looking for a reason to talk shit about something, and Rebrand says that this isn't working. So, why keep going with the same thing? I mean, Multiverse X is a great example of one that has completely, I mean, I honestly don't think I've ever had a conversation with like a standard user of Web3 that involves me saying where we started and have them say, oh yeah, I've heard of that. Polkadot even just got a new logo, and it's still looked at as being weird. Like, why would they do that? There was no need to. I still don't understand that. Like, that's the thing. In traditional marketing and brand development, if you rebrand on the brink, like right before you do a massive marketing push, so that everyone gets, if you just change your name and your appearance and your logos, and then you really don't tell anyone, and you don't really do anything different, you just kind of keep doing the same dumb shit you've always been doing, but now you're called something else, the few fans you had are going to leave because now they don't even recognize you anymore. It's just stupid. Like, there is a massive lack of like follow through and continuity with Web3 projects because they're just flashes in the pan 99% of the time. And there's no point rebranding a flash in the pan because it's already petered out and it's gone. I can't think of a single one, Evan, that like carried through with a rebrand and had it be good for them. One that I'm very curious to see how it finishes because it's in the middle of it, but they actually are trying to increase some marketing, is Stellar. XLM is going through a massive brand facelift.
Yeah.
Although instead of changing the name or the place or anything, they're just trying to give like the graphic look a bit of a facelift, and they're introducing a bunch of new programs to try to be more exciting and enticing to people, and they have the treasury to back it up. I have not seen the impact of it hitting yet, but it's noticeable. And it's the first one that I've seen that I think like may almost have the whisper of a chance to like, resonate with a new class of crypto user and enthusiast again. So I think, time will tell. It's still happening. It hasn't breathed yet,
And you've got a lot of people adding good context, like rebranding requires a full change. That's the part that needs proving. Digital identity plus ownership needs to be a priority for everyone. I think so. When companies lean into things like that, and then it's the Solana factor or the base factor, communicate it well and have a product you can use to do it without any friction. That's how people get on chain. Absolutely. I think it could be massively effective. It really baffled me. The thing is, if you spend time in these spaces, like you go to a conference, you go to a meetup, you talk to these people, you may be surprised at how people at the most well-funded companies or on the inside of things, many of them don't have that kind of user-oriented, future-oriented understanding of this. They really are convinced that a play to earn with its own token game is like the path to mass adoption. It's surprising. You would think there'd be more William Quigleys and Satoshi Nakamoto's in the world.
Yep.
There really aren't.
Well,
so set yourself up for success like that.
Mac and I were at Consensus this year, and we walked in, and it was day one, and we were 5 minutes in, didn't even make it into the like showroom floor of all of the exhibits and booths and whatever. And we ran into this guy and we started talking, and he was very obviously like in excellent shape. And he said he was new. He didn't really know a ton about this. He'd been kind of like paying attention, I think, what did he say, for like a year or two. And he wanted to do some sort of like blockchain fitness related thing. And me and Mac are like, okay. And he's like, yeah, I'm thinking of, like, so I have this token and it's like a, exercise to earn. And we're both like, oh, okay. It's just like, and I don't know why it's such like a controversial or a hot take, like, hey, build a cool thing on chain, pick a network, and then use the native currency, please. Like, you want to build blockchain fitness? Fucking sweet. Send it. That would be dope. Track people's progress with like tokens to indicate milestones, and have like a community treasury where you can like pay for gym memberships for people if they like put in enough effort and like participate in whatever. You can like earn a month at this or whatever. It would be like cheap to fund and blah blah blah, and that would be really cool, and you could probably get some users, and you let people meet up with like all that kind of stuff. Put it on chain. Let people mark stuff with tokens, and then just use Sol or use AVAX or use USDC, use ETH. Don't mint a new shitcoin for me to Ponzi farm off of you, like, because then you're going to corrupt your entire business model, and that's not even in anyone's mind. Like, if I suggest that, it's like I'm speaking Greek, and it's wild that's not. So back to the where do I see us in 10 years? That's what I mean. Like, launch things on blockchains and let me use the token that I have on that blockchain for more stuff. Give me more utility for the shit I already have instead of giving me more stuff with questionable utility.
Okay, guys, let me say it's almost 2 hours. I'm approaching personally the point of well met. I have a lot of different stuff I got to get to today. It's a Monday, which I know means that Will has, a day job. So he's got stuff to do. I would love to go around.
I don't have a single thing on my calendar today, guys. It's super light. I was up till midnight on Friday sending contracts back and forth with this one fucking company. So like my girlfriend was just like, "Can we do something?" And I was like, "Not yet." I was like, "And now we can go to bed."
Yeah, right. Go do something with her today, man. That'll be good. Let's go around. Let's do some final thoughts. Last question, and let me remind you, as we have a slew of scam accounts, that these are our only profiles. We don't have backup accounts. We are never going to DM you first. We are never going to show up in your live offering to help you trade, ask you for money, or see how your investments are going. Nothing like that. And we we certainly won't be just trying to hide, hang out, whatever. That's not us. Add these accounts. Stay connected, and then check out the riseupmorningshow.com for all the resources related to the show. We've got episodes that start here that go to YouTube if you miss a stream. You want to catch up. We've got the newsletter that goes out approximately once a week. I have an edition that's going today. And then we've got the Discord community. It's free to join, hang out in, ask your question, and we've got resources there like office hours, event stages, live courses, and coaching that you can access with a premium membership for as low as $9.99 a month. That's designed for people who want to really accelerate their learning journey, get more time with us, the kind of stuff we can't scale to everyone, so that we can scale the stuff that we share with everybody and reach more people with helpful crypto content. We would love to see you there at theriseupmorningshow.com. Guys, what are your last thoughts, good jokes, words of wisdom before we ride our ponies off into the sunset?
My last thoughts are just about how in the future, when I want to end a conversation, I'm just going to look at them and do exactly what you just said and go, "I'm feeling well met," and then just turn and just walk away. I'm feeling well met, and then just boom, just leave. But I'd love to do it like really soon in a conversation with somebody who's just like annoying and they're like, I feel well met. And like they ask me a question, it's like, I'm well met with you, sir. And then just turn and leave. Immediately putting an image in my head of like, you immediately filled the cup that is my ability to pay attention to you so high with bullshittery that it is now about to overflow and I must leave before I spill. Like that was immediately the image in my head. And I truly enjoyed that and love that and will absolutely use that, particularly at a Renaissance fair. Because I feel like it fits. Final thoughts. I don't have anything else to add, particularly in the market. The next two videos I'll be putting out, guys, just so you're aware on my side of things, is I'll be doing an expansion on the tech breakthroughs, and I'm going to try to see if I can like calculate the amount of liquidity generated from things like the ICO, from creation on Ethereum, from the amount of the NFT explosion in last market and how that explosion hasn't happened. Now I'm going to try to see if I can like calculate that.
That would be a great video.
Yeah, that'd be interesting, I feel like. So I'm going to try to dive through that data a little bit. And then I'm also going to make a video about the M2 money supply, which is a bullish video. Guys, I'll still make bullish video because the M2 money supply, which is the total global liquidity, just hit an all-time high. That is good for markets. So I'll do a quick video highlighting that right now. But if you guys want any particular videos for me to cover, let me know in my comments section. Just say like, hey, can you cover this? If they're good and interesting ones, I might just record the video, hit a response there. If it requires me to do some research, I'll write it down and do it later. But yeah, that's it. Either way, have a great day, make a bunch of money, do good things, be good people, buy a bunch of Pokemon cards, wash your face. Use a red light therapy mask. It's really good for your skin at night before you go to bed. Oh, I meant to actually grab that. Yeah, I meant to actually come on with because my girlfriend left her red light therapy mask, which I bought her here. So now I get to have beautiful skin, which is fantastic. Polished clothes, really good before bed. Put your moisturizer on afterwards. Really close up your pores. Clears out a lot of blackheads. I have a lot of blackheads here. I'm a sweaty guy. Put on sunscreen before you go outside. Keep that skin fresh. A lot of things about skin.
Don't smoke.
Bar soap. If you wash your face with bar soap, that's fine. But at the same time, your bar soap's sitting in your shower. It's getting dirty and stuff. So like, if you go and get like La Roche-Posay cleansing cream that's in like a big blue container, you can get the regular one or the foaming bubble one. I like the foaming bubble one because bubbles. It's just better. And the other one's rougher on my skin, and I have sensitive baby skin. So those are my final thoughts.
The show is not sponsored yet by any skincare lines, but it could be, and will especially will make you look good.
Yeah, here we go. Final thoughts.
Excellent. What about you, Alex?
I mean, shit, I got nothing.
I just learned Will has sensitive skin on a Monday morning.
Yeah, not beauty advice. We're not licensed beauty advisors, but also, do your own research.
No, don't do your own research. Just follow my skincare and you will be great.
Honestly,
Also, cocoa butter, very good for the body. It doesn't exactly soak in. Sometimes people like the cream. Sorry, I can keep going. I apologize. Anyway, Alex, your final thoughts.
Well, that was an experience. I think I'm just well met.
I'm well met.
I'll put a pin in a talking point that I think would be fun to go over tomorrow, just because it's making the rounds on social media right now, and people are confused, concerned, excited, skeptical, and everything in between. Are NFTs coming back?
Do it. Make my monkey picture go up.
So I think we can talk about that tomorrow. If you have not yet, if you avoid crypto Twitter, first I applaud you. Second, it's a desolate hellscape.
Yes. Teach us your ways
of drivel. There's a band name for you, Desolate Hellscape of Drivel. But there is chatter that NFTs are coming back, and most of it is people saying, guys, shut the hell up, NFTs are not coming back. And when everyone is saying, shut up, they're not coming back, meanwhile, Luca is hiring a head of marketing, I am curious. And yeah. I think we should cover it tomorrow. So I would encourage both of you to go just take a little look around, because there's like two things that are kind of happening that make people say this. One is Doodles just lighting the world on fire again. Yeah. And the other one is the fact that Pudgy is still epic. And the question is that enough to inspire confidence in the NFT thing again? If so, does it mean anything good potentially for old stuff? Or is it just we're entering a new era of different kinds of NFTs that could behave better and do something else? So I would encourage you to look at those and see if you have any thoughts or opinions, and then we could discuss them tomorrow. And if you guys are watching and you have any thoughts or just fighting words about NFTs, then I encourage you to bring it. I agree with Dave. It would be really cool if Odyssey would come back, because that was a perfect example of NFTs done right, and it makes me sad that it's gone. Other than that, I would echo the words of Kagan that I think they fit perfectly with your current thesis. Don't be bullish, don't be bearish. Just make the best of the market as it's handed to you. And I'm well met.
Well met.
Well met.
And I will honor this request. Everybody wants to know about the mug. I'm going to tell you first that our show has a lot of history and lore. We go way back. And we're at like the V3 of the Rise Up Morning Show. Before this, it was the Rising Up podcast. Before that, Alex and I were hanging out at Faceless Labs. And fun fact, the origin of the phrase well met in terms of our community started in an Uber in Las Vegas, Nevada, after our Faceless Labs team got together in real life for the first time to celebrate the Faceless Many that it launched without killing anybody. And Mac was explaining that, in fact, it was a medieval thing, that he appreciated the sentiment and missed this idea that there was a time in days of yore when people would say, well met, and said, I think he said, I'd like to bring that back. And Alex said, oh, yeah, let's. And we were just well met. And it has just become a part of the lore of the show. Like well met, the Rise Up Morning Show mug is by the iconic artist Kyle Maddow, who has helped us with a variety of projects, is a great product manager, project manager, developer, game designer, builder, and also, as you can see, digital artist. Kaio is here on TikTok. He is offline as Kaio, Kaio, Medau, Medau, and he designed this ghoul for us to use in the Rise Up Morning Show. You can see he's got Rise Up across his face and his eyes. He's got the morning show. He's got the IV drip of coffee, and he's got a bunch of fried breakfast foods and Bitcoin in the background. We are working on a cool new set of art for some rebranding. You will get some new cool morning show stuff soon featuring the work of Kyle Maddow. But in the meantime, if you love this mug, you can get your hands on one. It is the official mug of the official morning show of the Financial Revolution. It's at theriseupmorningshow.com. And I absolutely think we'll be giving some away this week. A shout out to Tech CEO, who gets chat paid on his game show, for giving away some of these mugs and then making it possible for us to give another one away. So stay tuned. If you want one, we can give one away. We can give one away tomorrow. What the hell? Come and tell us what you think about NFTs, and maybe you'll win a mug. So that is the story of the Rise Up Morning Show mug. And that is meatball. Just meatballing.
Just chilling. Be a good old pup.
Yeah. So if you like crypto, if you want to talk about the future, technology, the awesome coffee mug, Williams Skincare, or just want to see how many dogs Alex has today, we're live Monday through Thursday at 7 a.m. Central Standard Time. We have helpful news, commentary. The only thing missing, my friends, is you. So check us out at theriseupmorningshow.com. Join us again tomorrow. Stay safe, make lots of money, and until next time, everybody, rise up.
Well, man.